Okay, so imagine this. You're about to inherit some land,
Mm-hmm.
but there's a catch.
Okay.
You have to marry someone within your tribe. Sounds a little bit wild, right?
Yeah, a little archaic.
Yeah, a little archaic.
Definitely.
Well, that's what we're diving into today.
Sounds fun.
This isn't just some random history lesson, though.
Okay.
This is a story from the Bible,
Right.
the book of Numbers.
I'm familiar.
And trust me, it has some shockingly relevant lessons for us today, even now.
I believe it.
So can you set the scene for us?
Sure.
Who are these people we're talking about, and what's this inheritance all about?
Okay, so we're talking about the daughters of Zelophehad,
Okay.
5 sisters,
Okay.
facing a dilemma in ancient Israel.
Okay.
Their father passed away,
Right?
and he didn't have any sons.
Ooh.
And back then, that meant that the daughters couldn't inherit his land.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
And land was everything back then.
Yeah.
Power, security, you name it.
I can imagine. So that doesn't seem fair at all.
No, not really.
I can see why that would cause a stir.
For sure.
What happened next?
Well,
Did they just accept this?
no, they did not. They were pretty bold.
Good for them.
They took their case straight to Moses
Wow.
and the leaders of their tribe, Manasseh.
Okay.
But the tribal leaders had their own concerns, as you can imagine.
Yeah, I was just thinking that.
They were worried that if the daughters married outside the tribe,
Mm-hmm.
their inheritance, this valuable land, would go with them
Right.
and weaken their tribe.
So it wasn't just about these 5 women.
Exactly.
It was about the entire community.
The potential ripple effect on the whole community.
Yeah, I see where they're coming from.
Yeah.
So what did Moses do about this?
Well, this is where it gets interesting.
Okay.
Moses didn't just dismiss the daughters
Okay.
or cave to the tribal leaders.
Right.
He sought divine guidance
Oh, wow.
and came up with a solution that was both practical and, you could say, ahead of its time.
Okay, I'm on the edge of my seat.
All right.
What was the verdict?
He declared that the daughters could indeed inherit their father's land,
Okay.
but
Uh-oh, there's a book.
there's a condition. They had to marry within their own tribe.
Okay.
This way, the land would stay within the tribe,
Okay.
addressing the leaders'
That
concerns
makes sense.
while still giving the daughters their rightful inheritance.
That's a pretty clever compromise.
It is.
So he managed to respect individual rights while preserving the interests of the community.
Exactly.
But how does a story from ancient Israel relate to us today?
Right.
That's what I'm wondering.
That's a good question. That's the thing about these stories.
What's that?
They grapple with issues that are still so relevant today.
Right.
You know, we face similar dilemmas all the time.
Yeah.
This balance
Uh-huh.
between what we want as individuals
Yeah,
and what's best for the larger group.
for sure. So how does this ancient story
Right.
translate into practical advice for us?
Okay.
What can we learn
Yeah.
from the daughters of Zelophehad
Well,
and Moses' decision?
For starters, I think it highlights the importance of having clear guidelines and agreements.
Yeah.
Just like the Israelites had their inheritance laws, we have things like contracts and wills,
Right.
and even community rules.
Okay.
These aren't just, bureaucratic hurdles.
Right.
They exist to prevent conflict and ensure fairness.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
So being clear about expectations from the get-go
Exactly.
can save us a lot of headaches down the line.
Right.
It's like having a playbook
Yeah.
for how to handle things when life throws us a curveball.
Exactly.
And this story also reminds us about the power of communication.
Yes, definitely.
The daughters of Zelophehad didn't just, sit back and accept the status quo.
No.
They spoke up for their rights.
They did.
And Moses listened to their concerns
He did.
and the concerns of the tribal leaders.
Right.
This open dialogue
Yes.
paved the way for a solution that benefited everyone.
It's a good point.
So speaking up and actively listening are key.
I think so.
Don't just assume that everyone's on the same page.
Right.
You have to talk to each other,
Yes.
understand different perspectives,
Exactly.
and be willing to find common ground.
Absolutely.
And let's not forget the element of compromise.
Right.
Neither the daughters nor the tribal leaders got exactly what they wanted at first.
Yeah, that's true.
But by being flexible and willing to meet in the middle,
Uh-huh.
they arrived at a solution that addressed everyone's core concerns.
Yeah, it's like a give and take. Right.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
So we have compromise,
Yep.
clear communication,
Uh-huh.
having clear guidelines in place.
It's a good recipe.
These are all valuable lessons, but
Yeah,
they're not always easy to put into practice.
definitely not.
Are there any real-world examples
Oh, yeah?
of how this balance plays out in our lives today?
Sure.
Something a little closer to home than ancient Israel?
Of course. Think about something like environmental regulations. We all want clean air and water, right?
Yes.
But regulations can sometimes restrict
Mm-hmm.
what individuals or companies are allowed to do.
Okay.
So it's this constant push and pull
Yeah.
between protecting individual freedoms and ensuring the well-being of the environment,
Your kids.
and by extension, the community.
So in a way, we're all part of this ongoing negotiation,
I think so.
trying to find solutions that balance individual needs
Yeah.
with the greater good.
I agree.
It's like a puzzle we're all trying to solve together.
A big puzzle.
Yeah.
Exactly. And just like with any puzzle, it requires patience and communication and a willingness to see things from different angles.
This has been an interesting conversation.
It has.
I feel like I have whole new appreciation for the wisdom
Yeah,
that's like embedded in these ancient texts.
for sure.
So if we're thinking about this balancing act,
Uh-huh.
are there other areas where it kind of pops up
Oh, yeah.
that we don't even realize
Definitely.
in our modern lives?
Think about online communities.
Yeah.
You have the freedom to express yourself online,
Right.
but there are also like rules and norms to prevent harassment and misinformation.
This is true.
So it's like this constant negotiation
Yeah.
between individual expression and maintaining like a healthy online environment.
Wow. I never
Yeah.
thought about it that way before.
Yeah.
It's interesting. We're so used to thinking about like individual rights
Right.
in the physical world,
Yeah.
but it's even more complex
Oh, for sure.
in the digital world.
Absolutely.
It's like the daughters of Zelophehad,
Yeah.
challenging the norms of their time.
Totally.
Except now it's on this global scale
Right.
with millions of people.
Exactly.
So what's the main takeaway for our listeners today?
Well, I think the key message here is that
What's that?
finding this balance between individual freedom and community well-being.
Yeah.
It's an ongoing process.
Yeah.
There's no one-size-fits-all solution.
Right.
It requires dialogue and consideration and, a willingness to adapt to changing circumstances.
It's like a dance we're all learning together,
Yeah,
figuring out the steps as we go.
I like that analogy.
So the next time you encounter a situation
Yeah,
where individual desires clash with community needs,
right.
take a deep breath.
Okay.
Remember the daughters of Zelophehad
Good advice.
and approach the challenge with a spirit of open communication
I think so.
and try to find that delicate balance.
Yeah, you might just uncover some ancient wisdom
That's true.
that's perfectly suited for solving a modern-day dilemma.
This has been such a fascinating discussion.
It has been a pleasure.
Thanks for joining us today.
Thanks for having me.